As an artist, Frank Stengel is not as well known as the great triumvirate of New Ulm painters, Christian Heller, Alexander Schwendinger, and Anton Gogg. But during his lifetime, thousands of people saw his work, even if they never saw his signature on the canvas. This painting, The First Battle of New Ulm, is part of the collection of the Brown County Historical Society, donated by his grandson, Gary Stengel.
He was born in 1888, died in 1976. I lived on and off with him because my mother died when I was 2. So my dad, it was tough working and trying to raise me. So I lived a lot with my grandfather on and off, you know what I mean? And I spent a lot of time with him. He was kind of like my father, you know what I mean?
Stengel was born in New Ulm in 1888, the son of Charles and Minnie Stengel, who owned a saloon on Minnesota Street next to the Dakota House Hotel.
I think that's where my grandfather met Anton Gogg, was in there, because he might have I think he did some work painting in there. And then he became, friends with the Gogg family, and then kind of got mentored by Anton. He thought Anton was something. He was an excellent artist. Yeah, I seen we had a picture of him as Frank LaBelle. He had this kind of a little circus act. It was him, his brother, and another fella. I don't know who that was. But they got a lot of write-ups in the paper that they did. He did the slackware, they did juggling, balancing. They said their act was as good as any circus act. So he was really versatile. He did a lot of things. Not only an artist, really a good artist. He could do the small stuff, the paintings, but then he could do, if it was a 100-foot wall or whatever had to be done, he could also do that.
After studying at the Minneapolis School of Art, Stengel went to work for the Twin City Scenic Company, one of Minnesota's largest suppliers of scenery for opera houses, vaudeville halls, motion picture theaters, and Masonic lodges.
He must have went to the scenic studio after that, and then after the scenic studio, he went to work for Dayton's. I don't know if he was there, I thought he was their head artist there, but I don't know that for sure. But he did design their floats, their 8th floor auditorium, their windows for the Christmas display. The windows were always done in Dayton's. Yeah, he'd do the aquatennial, the float for Dayton's for the aquatennial, and he just really creative guy. When you've got to do stuff on a big scale, that's hard to do. I think a lot of people are really good on a small canvas, but when you've got to do something that's 126 feet long. He was in a Minneapolis paper, Minneapolis paper about 40 years ago. 50 years ago, maybe it was. There's an article shows him painting the scene with both hands. If he had a big area to do with a lot of the same color on it, or maybe there was vines hanging down, he could paint those with both hands at the same time. Now, not many people could do that.
Stengel's talent for theatrical staging came to good use in New Ulm. During a commemoration of the 75th anniversary of the battles of New Ulm, he designed a wooden stockade that spanned Minnesota Street and helped local business owners decorate their storefronts for the occasion.
Because in the 50s, I went with them. I know we took we drove up in an old, not an old, it was brand new at the time. I think it was like a 51 Buick. And we drove up there, and they had that big Ford across the street then. And I was looking at that thing, and amazing. He said, yeah, I did that. He says, I painted that. And I'm just wondering if he'd built 2, because I don't think they would have stored that from 37 to 50, 51 anywhere. I think he built 2.
In 1933, the Great Century of Progress exposition opened in Chicago, and a state commission selected the Twin City Scenic Company to design the Minnesota exhibit. The official program noted that the paintings of Frank Stengel would be featured.
Now these are just sketches. This was just, he would do stuff like this. He would go through all that trouble to do that painting, but it's not really a painting. It's just like a sketch of what he was going to do for the World's Fair. That's what that is. And as a sketch, it's very good. You know, I don't want people to always think he did a lot of sketches, and he did them fast, you know, and then I don't want them to think, hey, these are actually the painting, you know, because I think he could do a lot, you know. This was just done fast. I would think he could do something like that in a very short time. He was he was a guy that could do, you know, he not only painted, but he was a gymnast. He was a musician. He played piano. He played drums in the regiment band for New Ulm. He would play piano in the silent movies. You know, he was a heck of a musician, very good. There was a lot of things that he did.
Frank Stengel's work shows that memories of the U.S.-Dakota War lingered in Brown County long after the events of 1862.